We Are the Medicine podcast is a healing space for the soul, where the focus is finding and activating the inner healer that lives within each of us. This podcast explores what it truly means to heal ourselves from the inside out. You'll learn practical mind-body tools to regulate your nervous system, release emotional pain, heal your inner child, and reconnect with your empowered, authentic self. Each episode invites you to journey beyond symptom management and into the emotional, energetic, and spiritual roots of health and vitality. If you're ready to remember your wholeness, to embody your truth, and to reclaim your emotional freedom, this is your space. You'll discover that the medicine you've been seeking is actually within you. I am your host, Dr. Liz Burkholder. My mission is to spark this inner healer within anyone who feels called to do this work. Join me on a journey to reconnect with our bodies, our hearts, and the healers within ourselves. You are the medicine. I am the medicine. We are the medicine. Hello, and welcome back to We Are the Medicine podcast. I'm Liz Burkholder. All right, so this is episode 3, my third awakening. Where do I start? My third awakening was a breast cancer diagnosis. And I know that may sound crazy. This whole episode may sound crazy for some people. Actually, my whole journey may sound, the way I look at my journey and talk about my journey may sound crazy for some people, and that's okay. So in June of 2024, June 14th, 2024, I received a diagnosis of breast cancer. I had had an ultrasound the week before, where the doctor found a concerning lump and she biopsied it in the office. During that week, I was preparing myself for what that might be. Again, I received that diagnosis, and when you hear the words, you have cancer, it's quite a blow to the system, to the body, to the mind, to the emotions, to the energy field. There was some shock. News like that it's a shocking experience. There was a lot of things happening within me with that. There was some fear arising and some anxiety arising around, oh my God, I'm like, this is so big. This is a big thing. This is a really big and heavy journey ahead of me with this. And then there was also this part of me that knew I know what to do. There was a part of me that knew that we're made up of energy. And I had already been studying this. I had already been doing this work with others and patients, and preaching that physical manifestations and physical ailments that show up in the body and physical disease are created through repressed, quote unquote, stuff in the body and the subconscious. And that includes repressed emotions, unprocessed traumas, undigested events, exiled parts of self, which can include a lot of different things, which I will start digging into more and more as the episodes progress. But part of me knew everything is energy, and energy can always be transformed. Energy can always change form, right? Even this seemingly biggest thing that can show up in the human body, the most dense energy that can show up in the human body, like worst case scenario always, right? Like you Google any symptom, worst case scenario is always cancer. So part of me knew that, okay, this is something within me, or some energy held within me is creating this. I want to go within and find out what it is. What is the energy here? What's the emotion that's here? Like, what is here? There's a lot. I knew there was a lot. And I knew that my journey was going to be different, that my journey was not meant to be traveled the way that many, many other people travel and have traveled this journey. This is not saying anyone has done anything wrong, that their journey has been wrong. Everyone is exactly right where they need to be, exactly right in their journey, exactly right in their choices and decisions. I'm not here to tell anyone that they have done anything wrong, or that they even need to do anything a certain way. And actually, I'm doing the opposite of that. I'm saying that each person's journey is their own, and each person has their own medicine within them, and each person has their own intuitive guidance system within them, and each person has their own intuition to follow. So I knew my journey would be different, and I knew that I'm not doing the conventional route, that's just not my journey, or at least not right now. And if at some point it got to that, I would do that because I was open to anything and everything and didn't want to close myself off really to anything. And I wanted to just take some time and figure out what's my next step. So I had begun the year before research in psychedelics and psychedelic work in mental and emotional health and began following some of that research and began getting really interested in this as a form of trance work, subconscious work. That's the work I'm already doing. And this is another route into that world, into the realms of subconscious, altered states of consciousness, or what Dr. Stanley Groff called non-ordinary states of consciousness. And I had, this is a sensitive topic and I'm going to talk about it anyway, because it's part of my journey. And I feel like it's an important part of the journey. And it's important for me to speak about this, but also to speak about it from the perspective of, I'm not telling, again, anyone what to do, how to do it, anything. I just want to say this is in the disclaimer of the podcast, but I also want to state it here that this is not medical advice by any means. This is not mental health advice by any means. I am telling my story. I'm telling things that work for me. I'm telling about my perspectives, and I'm talking about like the research and the education from my perspective. And this is to be taken into your own system, however you want to take that in and decipher and assimilate things for what works for you. And again, this is not medical advice. So I decided, and I had an intuitive, let's see, what do I call this? I had an intuitive insight to do a psilocybin journey. So anyway, so I did this psilocybin journey, and that journey brought me significant amounts of peace and insight. And I'm trying to figure out what exactly I want to say about the journey itself. So first thing I'm going to say, there were many, many profound experiences in this. At one point, I heard somebody yelling, and I realized, oh, that's me yelling. That's me saying that. And I was saying, bring me her. Bring me her. Bring me the one who wants to die. And this half dead, bony creature being, part of me, began like crawling to me. And I was aghast, overwhelmed with sadness, and grief, and shock at this part of myself. And keep in mind, I had been doing parts work and inner child work for years at this point. And this was just a deeper layer that I couldn't reach or get to until then. And I was crying, and I pulled this part of me, this little part of me to myself, and just held this little being. And I was also aware on some level that this was ancient also, like an ancient part of me. Talk about some really weird things on this podcast. I'll just go ahead and say that and preface that. And like some people may be like, you're weird, that's crazy, and that's okay. I also feel like for some people, this will highly resonate, and also people will weed themselves out. And if this is not meant to come into your field and to your awareness, you won't even see it. If it comes into your field and your awareness, maybe you're meant to see it for some reason. Yeah, I'm just speaking to the people who this resonates for. And if it triggers something within you, I also encourage you to go within and see what is that, what's being triggered, what's being hit within you, because there's also a message there for you. So I was aware that this was also a part of me that was connected to my ancestors, to a very ancient part of myself and my lineage, and also very present deep in the subconscious of this lifetime. So I held this part of me, and I could feel this massive amount of light and love just like beaming down on me. And I remember just telling, like, look at all this love that's here for you. Like, look at all this love that's here for you, and to feel this love. And I promised this little being, part of myself, that I'm going to love you back to life. I'm going to show you what it's like to be loved. So I'm going to say this as a blanket statement, and then there's lots of things underneath. So this is a generalized statement that this journey is about self-love. The journey of actually being a human, in my opinion, the overarching theme is to get to self-love, or to one of the overarching themes is to get to love, which includes self-love. For me, the cancer journey overall is about getting to self-love, and that encompasses a lot of different things and specifics, and all the way down to like very specific things for each person. But I will begin to break that down and talk about it from my perspective. So I made this promise to myself, this part of me, that I'm going to love you back to life, and I'm going to show you what it's like to love life and to be here fully, that it's safe to be here fully, and we don't have to like leave and disconnect and run away and check out. So this is the part of me that wanted to check out of life, that wanted to check out of humanity, that wanted to check out of being a human in a body, in this earthly experience, because it's, let's be honest, fucking overwhelming at times. And it's fucking hard at times. This was a part of me also that felt very powerless around life and specific aspects of life, which I will also get into, different things like parenting and mothering and work and money and relationships, and lots of things that we experience as a human. That journey was so profound and so healing on so many levels for me. And that I say that kind of began the healing process for the cancer, but actually that had already begun a long time before. The healing had actually begun years before, when I began doing this deeper excavation of clearing out old wounds, old patterns, old survival mechanisms and behaviors, and repressed emotions and traumas and all the things. So I had already begun the process. This was just getting down to the deeper levels that I couldn't reach until now, and only through this diagnosis. Also in that journey, I became profoundly aware that we can heal anything. Like, our bodies are capable of healing anything, and our bodies are made to heal, and our bodies know how to heal given the right environment. And I already knew this. Like, I knew, okay, if the body can make cancer, the body can heal cancer. Just even with my background as a nurse and a nurse practitioner and a cancer nurse, and in the health and healthcare and science fields, I knew the body literally makes specific types of white blood cells that are specifically made to target and kill and dispose of rogue cells such as cancer cells. Literally, our body's so intelligent, it makes cells that already do that. That's their job, is to go around and find the cells that aren't functioning properly or normally and weed them out, kill them, and dispose of them. So I knew, okay, there's something going on in my immune system where my immune system is not functioning and properly working in the way that it's supposed to. There's so many layers to this, and we're going to break the layers down. It's physical, mental, emotional, energetic, spiritual. I knew that there's a lot of different levels here, and there's a lot of things I knew that I was out of alignment with in my life and not doing in my life to really care for myself and my body and my own energy first. And again, I had gone through significant amounts of stress, tremendous amounts of stress the previous years, while also, though, simultaneously expanding and growing and healing. So it was like this, I don't know if everybody experiences life like this or my specific journey, but there's always these simultaneous things happening where I'm simultaneously having these maybe difficult things to move through, but also I'm growing and expanding and learning significantly alongside whatever it is that I'm going through. And I don't know, maybe that's just how I've just learned to look at life or how to move through it. But while I was growing and expanding and doing all this healing work, there was also a lot of things falling apart. My marriage was falling apart. My marriage deconstructed, which was a big stress, right? Like there's with any change, there's stress, even if it's good change or bad change. Going through a divorce is a very stressful thing, but even like buying a new house is considered a good stress, but it's still stressful. You're moving, you're packing, you're leaving one place, going to another. Change in general can create stress. So I was also doing this PhD and the psych certification, and also going through kids home from school, going through the COVID era and the difficulties in my marriage, and then moving out and the separation, and then processing all of my grief and emotions around the separation and the deconstruction of the marriage. There was lots of grief and lots of pain there. And then also moving my kids through the grief and the pain, also building a business, supporting myself and my kids. There was a lot. So I know there were times on a physical level where I wasn't taking care of myself like I should have, and had stopped like exercising, had stopped working out, and didn't eat as well. Was taking in more probably sugar and things, just not eating as healthy as I could have been, and not doing the stress reduction things as often. Maybe I slacked on my meditation and breath work and all the things. Anyway, in this journey, I could see all the things that were out of alignment in my life, or things that I also didn't want to look at and had avoided. One of the messages from that journey was about avoidance. Part of me had avoided even going to get this checked out when I knew and could feel that there was something going on there in my left breast, and could feel that something's not quite right. I do believe on a subconscious level, if we really stop and pause and look at this, we usually know and feel there's something, but we just don't want to look at it for whatever reason. We're afraid. There's fear, of course, there's fear to look at things. There's life happening and we're stressed and maybe in survival mode, and like, oh, I can't deal with anything else right now. I can't take on anything else right now. So we push things back and we push it to the subconscious or to the back burner or to the closet in our minds and compartmentalize to get through the day. But anyway, I knew something was going on. And so then I was aware of all this shame that was coming up and this self-blame of, oh my God, how did I let this happen? How did I let this happen? How did I let my immune system get so shot and my physical self get so burned out that cancer was able to take hold and manifest and grow in my body? And also, like, it's my fault. I did this. Like, I know better. There was a lot of shaming myself. Like, I know better. This is the work I do. I'm a mind body. I just got a doctorate in mind body medicine. How can I let this happen? So, and in this journey, I could see things from such like different perspectives and higher perspectives. And spirit said to me, it's literally all part of your journey. Like, it's literally, this is the way it was supposed to be. And I was like, what? No, but what about like I was not paying attention, or I wasn't going to get the ultrasound or the mammogram or the thermogram or get it checked out or whatever. And like, what about like that part of me? And I could hear so clearly that none of that matters now. Like, none of that matters now. What matters is right now and where you go from here. So that was the first thing. None of that matters. Second thing was, it brought you to her, meaning this part of myself. So it's beautiful because it's what brought me to her. And so I could only see love and I could only see good in the journey that, oh my God, this is how I had to see her. This is the only way that I could see this part of me, is through cancer. This is the only way that I could get so deep into this hidden part of myself. This was the only way I could see her. Very subconscious, because I love life. If you know me and have known my journey and known who I am, I love life. I love life. My whole life since being arrested from that first awakening has been this journey of unfolding and loving life and more gratitude for life and more expansion and learning and growth. And life is a journey. And I love this. And even through all the crazy hard stuff, it's all part of my journey. But there was this deeper part of me that was like, this place sucks. I don't want to be here. So, and looking back, there were subtle moments where this would come in and I would be aware of this. And I'll talk a little more about that later in another podcast, specifically discussing this, what we call unconscious death wish or an unconscious death urge, which I believe a lot of humans, if not all humans, have some level of this because it just runs through the collective consciousness. So, and it was like in that moment, it was all okay and everything washed away. And it was like, oh, it brought me to her. So this is all good. It's all good because it brought me to this part of myself who desperately needed to be seen and needed to be loved and needed to be heard. And then I kept hearing this mantra that said, everything is love and all paths lead to love. And it was like all paths lead to love, no matter what path I would have taken or could have taken or should have taken or what I could have, would have, should have done. All paths lead to love and all paths lead to the now. And the now is what matters. And so it was this whole unraveling of shame and fear and worthiness. And then I had to go through fear of death, fear of dying. I went through this experience where I could feel it in my body and I could see like this really dark path of death and dying and leaving the world early, leaving my body early, leaving my kids early. And there was deep grief there, deep, deep grief. And I cried and had to process through that and could feel it moving through my body. This fear of not fulfilling my purpose, not seeing my kids grow up. It makes me want to cry. Right now, because it was, I mean, that was in there and that's in there. It's a real thing. It's a real fear, right? That humans have it. Actually, some people theorize that the deepest, biggest fear that we all have is fear of death underneath everything. So I had to process through it, like really get okay with dying, with death and dying. So I had to go through this whole experience and I could see beyond this body, beyond. And I'd had experiences like this before many times through hypnotherapy and breath work and meditation and dreams and all the work I had done prior. But this was just another level, another experience, deep somatic experience of seeing beyond what's here right now, beyond this body and beyond this experience. And I could see multidimensional realms and multidimensional parts of myself. And I could see all my teachers and all of the people along my path who had been on my journey, good or bad, everything and everyone. I could I had this experience of just seeing everything and everyone and just understanding everything in a moment, which is hard to explain if you haven't had this experience, but some of you will get this and you just feel it in your body. So there was this okayness with no matter what happens, I know on a soul level that I am okay and always will be okay. And my kids are okay and always will be okay. And everybody is okay and will always be okay. So I got to this deep, profound, embodied sense that no matter what happens, my soul never dies. My soul is always living to eternity. It cannot be harmed. It cannot be killed. It cannot be annihilated. It's eternal. And that's my belief and that's my experience. And again, don't take on anything that doesn't resonate for you. I'm not telling you to take on my beliefs. One of my teachers used to say, don't believe what I say. Believe for yourself what you believe. Okay. Actually, he would say, don't believe anything. One of my meditation teachers, Nagendra, shout out to Nagendra. He used to say that. Don't believe anything. Don't take my word for it. Don't believe what I say. So that was a very profound experience. Again, it was multidimensional, this journey, which lasted about 6 hours. But lifetimes. Like I traveled lifetimes, dimensions, and realms of eternal times. In linear time, it was about 6 hours. Well, so there was that dark path. And then I was like, okay, what's over here? And I was mad. There was a moment where I was mad at God and I was yelling at God, like, why? Why is this happening? Why is this happening? This is not happening to me. This is not how I go. This is not how I go. Why is this happening? And I could see this. So the path of darkness over here. And then I could see over here, there was another path. And I was like, what's over there? What's over there? What's over there, God? Show me what's over there. And then suddenly it was like this blinding light. And it was this message of life is there. And I said, I want that one. That's the one I want. So I also became aware that there's multiple timelines that we can actually choose. We can choose and create multiple timelines. I was like, this is the one that I want to create. I'm here. And so Spirit, God, my soul said, okay, all you have to do is believe. And I remember saying out loud, yeah, of course. All I have to do is believe. All we have to do is believe. And I'm holding this part of me again and just saying, we got this. Of course. Like all we have to do is believe. We believe it. We know it. So, I was like, I choose that one. And then my soul said, okay, so no matter what the doctors say, No matter what the reports say, no matter what the scans say, no matter what the experts say or anyone else says, this is your truth. That's old energy. That's old news. This is your truth. You come back here. You remember this. And I was like, okay, yes, okay. This is what we're going to do. And the message was also, you keep your eyes here, meaning here on the light above all this stuff that's happening here. The way I pictured it or see it is like choppy waters. The choppy storm is happening. There's all these things happening around me. And it's a storm and a tornado navigating. But then there's this beam of light above the storm that's calm, that's peaceful, that's at ease, and that's a healing energy. And so I was like, okay, keep your eyes on the light. And so I was like, okay. And then I heard, but there are some steps. You will have to go through some steps, but this is where you're going. And I was like, okay. And then there was also this awareness that it was like, I'm going to use the word God, but you may use the word universe, the divine source, love, divine intelligence, whatever terminology you use. God said, this is part of your mission. Do you accept this mission? You're here to teach people there's a different way. And it was so clear. It was like, you're here to teach people that there's a different way. If they want a different way, if they choose a different way, do you accept this mission? And I remember saying, yes, of course. Of course. I accept the mission. I accept this mission. Yes, of course. And it was so like, duh. It's like I was speaking to God, spirit, saying, well, of course. Like, I mean, am I going to say, well, no thanks. I don't want to do that, which I could have. We get a choice. We all get a choice. And my choice was, yes, I want to do that. I know in my being that there's another way, that our body is made to heal and restore itself given the right environment. And that environment is one of love and acceptance and care and nurturing. And however we got to get there, that's part of it. Then I heard also this series of people that I'm supposed to reach out to and go work with, one of which was Aya in Mexico. The message was, there's multiple. One of the messages too was work with the ones who are here to merge worlds, because that's what you're here to do, is merge worlds. And you need to connect with other people who are merging worlds, if that makes sense. Meaning, for me, it meant the spiritual and the physical, the cosmic and the earthly, but also for me, even more specifically, the Eastern and the Western, the conventional and the alternative, the inner and the outer, the mind and the body. Anyway, so I was told to go work with Aya in Mexico. And I had done a course with her, an online virtual course with her 4 months prior, which was also a precursor to some of the healing that I was doing before I ever got the diagnosis. She offered this virtual course that's supposed to help uproot and heal through deep shadow wounds and transmute dark energy, is the best way I can describe it. So that 6 or 8 week course, so much stuff was coming up and uprooting in that around parenting. And I was going through this whole thing with my son at the time, which, by the way, the breast cancer was on the left side, which the left side in a lot of energy healing realms is associated with the feminine or the mother wound. So there was a lot to unpack there. I knew there was a lot there with the mother wound, the feminine. And going back one more time for just a moment, I had done a lot of work with my father, the father wound and the abandonment wound, and with my stepfather and the sexual abuse and the voice reclamation. And I did work around my mother, but I remember even saying to a friend, I know there's more work with my mom, and I'll know when it's time to do that work. I'm just not feeling it right now or feeling called to do it specifically, but I know that there is more, and I will know it when it gets here. With the mother wound in general, in this program, I remember this is 4 months before I got the diagnosis, but I already knew subconsciously that I could feel a lump there, and I could feel energetically there was something there in that class, I remember saying that I'm moving through a lot of difficult things with my son right now and parenting and mothering. And I have this lump in my left breast that feels like it's connected somehow. And I really want to start digging into this and seeing what this is. So a lot with mothering and parenting and this deep ancestral core wound of parenting is hard, mothering is hard. And so much of my mom's stuff I had taken on, and I'm going to break all this down in other episodes. But anyway, so I had done that. And then I reached out to her and was like, I want to come do an intensive, in-person intensive. And so I scheduled a 10-day intensive with her. Aya does body work, womb healing, trauma healing, yoni reclamation therapy. She does work with sexual trauma and body trauma, just a lot of work with the body specifically. She does energy work too. And I didn't even realize that I would be working with her and her partner, Yvonne, who does a lot of the energy work and the spiritual work. And I call them shamanic practitioners. I don't even know if they actually call themselves that. So I went and did this 10-day intensive, which turned into actually an almost 3-week. It was like a 20-day thing because when I was there, she and Yvonne were talking about they had this 8-day silent retreat that they were doing right after. I didn't go to Mexico thinking I'm going to go for 3 weeks. I just thought, 10 days, that should be good. I can get a lot done in 10 days. I've already done a lot of work. I know how to like go in deeply, quickly. I don't want to stay gone from my kids that long. That's a long time already. Anyway, when I was there, we went through multiple different sessions and modalities and therapies, which I'll again break down in separate podcasts, specifically talking about Mexico and the medicine that I experienced there. But while I was there, I ended up doing this 8-day silent retreat in the mountains of Mexico, which was a whole nother level of healing and death and rebirth for me. In this psilocybin journey, this was one of the people that I was told to go work with, and a couple other people that I was directed to reach out to and that I'm supposed to work with in some way or some form. And some of those are still in process of unfolding. Yeah. So, and I also knew that if it came to the point where I did feel the call to do conventional treatment or what they call standard of care for cancer, which standard of care SOC generally includes surgery, chemo, radiation. If at any point I decided to do standard of care, I would do that because my thing was, I wanted to make sure that I wasn't making decisions strictly out of fear. If I was having fear come up around anything, fear around doing a treatment, fear around not doing a treatment, fear around what if I do the wrong thing, I wanted to make sure first I'm going into the fear and really breaking down what's the fear, what am I really afraid of, where does this go to, what does it go back to, is this an old fear from childhood, is this current, is it past, is it ancestral? I wanted to really clear through and break down the fear. And this, again, is the work that I've been doing over the last decade. And so I'm very familiar with how to tune in and see what is the fear, what's under here, what's this connected to, so that I could make a clear decision from my intuition versus strictly out of fear. And some decisions may be out of both, maybe out of some fear, but also intuition is telling you to do a certain thing. So I don't even think we have to necessarily tease it completely out. But I just wanted to make sure that my decision was mostly coming from my intuition and my inner guidance, not fear. So I just knew too, okay, I'll just know each step. Like, show me the steps, show me the next thing and the next thing and the next thing. Because I was like, I don't know. What do I do? Where do I go? What's the next thing? What's the next step? Show me what to do. And just follow the next step. Just follow the next step. So I knew that it would be a journey of following the next step and allowing it to unfold literally in real time, moment by moment, day by day. And I trusted that. And I had to trust myself, which, by the way, because I had done such foundational work of learning to trust myself and trust my intuition. And I had been doing that work for a while. I just knew there was a part of me that knew I can trust my intuition in this. Even though this is scary, even though there's things coming up, and even though there's emotions happening, and even though this is a chaotic, crazy thing that's happening in my life, a part of me knew that I could trust this deeper inner knowing. So I would say that's one of the most important things on a cancer journey, is to learn to trust your own intuition. And actually, that's one of the 10 factors that was found in radical remissions by Dr. Kelly Turner in her research, where she studied over 1,000 people who had radical remissions from cancer. And she found the 10 factors that all of them were doing. She narrowed down everything to these 10 factors. And one of them is these people who had radical remissions, they trusted their own intuition over everyone else. And that sometimes is really hard because everybody's telling you what to do and what you should do and how you should do it. And you can get 1,000 different pieces of advice from 1,000 different people, and which one's right? And there's probably research for all of it, but this is why it's important to trust your own intuition. So we'll also be talking about in one of the episodes, those 10 factors. And I'm going to end this one here, and then I'll see you in the next episode. I hope that you found something inspiring or helpful for you on your journey in this episode. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for listening.